having? Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to do work on some side planks and planks today, which means we're going to also balance it out by pulling. So you might want to have a strap. If you don't have a strap, that's fine. You can do what we do without a strap, or you can just grab some material that's not going to stretch when you pull it. Hoodies can work even, so just something that's not going to stretch too much when you pull on it. We are going to start lying on our backs, and just your knees can be bent or your legs can be straight, whichever is more comfortable for you. Right hand to your belly, left hand to your heart. Feel your hips nice and heavy. Feel the low back above the hips lifting up just a bit. Feel the shoulders heavy. Feel the neck lifting up a small amount. And then the chin in neutral, back of the head is heavy. Soften or close your eyes and just come inside. So just feeling the air on the nostrils and feeling the lungs moving with the breath. And just let yourself settle into the experience of breathing. With every exhale, letting yourself release some more into the support of the earth. And with every inhale, just letting yourself being filled up. Breathe. If you'd like to come into any special yoga breathing techniques, you can. Regardless, just stay connected to the flow of the breath. Just feel that link. Try to balance out the breath as much as comfortable for you. And throughout class, we're going to try to maintain this relationship with the breath, the relationship with the world outside of us, taking only what we need, and then when we're done with it, giving it back away. Breathe. Also, continue to feel the support of the earth underneath you. And continue to just let go into that support. So just staying connected, feeling the sense of belonging. You can softly open your eyes. If your legs are straight, you can bend the knees, open the feet mat distance width apart. Have the feet a bit away from the hips. Arms can come to airplane position, T position, cactus position, stretch back behind you, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then when you're ready, exhale the knees over to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale the knees to the left. Windshield wipers. As you continue to go side to side with the breath, notice the back of the head and the shoulders staying rooted and connected into the ground. Breathing here. That chin is still in neutral. And then the next time your knees go over to the right side, you can hold the knees on the right side if you want to. Your right foot can come on top of the left knee. Breathing here. Now, if there's any pain in your left knee, you would uncross the right foot. And then unwinding. Inhale the knees up to center. Exhale the knees over to the left, and left foot can come on top of right knee. Breathe. And then unwinding, coming back up to center. Now here, if you want to, you can grab the strap. Again, you can do this without the strap. I like to double up straps a lot of times for just an ease of grip. And then when you have the strap, your hands will be about shoulder distance width apart, maybe wider depending on how your shoulders feel, with a hand shoulders distance width apart. And then you'll pull the strap tight. So here. And then again, hips heavy, low back above the hips lifting up a bit, shoulders heavy, neck lifts up a bit, back of head heavy. And from here, pulling the strap apart with your hands. Now exhale, press the shoulders down into the ground. Inhale, take the shoulders away from the ground. Exhale, shoulders into the ground, maybe micro bend the elbows. Inhale, shoulders away. Exhale, shoulders down. Inhale, shoulders up. 2 more times, moving with the breath. Then last time with the shoulders down with your hands pulling the strap apart. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, lower the arms down. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, lower the arms down. Lifting the arms up overhead, stretching the spine out of the hips. If you want to, with your knees and toes facing up towards the sky, you can also stretch the legs long here. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release, taking the strap, looping it around the right foot, the ball of the foot in front of the arch. Coming to a place where you can extend the leg pretty straight. So if pulling the leg in all the way, your knees deeply bent, go ahead and move that foot away from your face so you can straighten the leg as much as comfortable for you. And then pressing into the strap, pulling the leg in towards you. Now, as you pull the foot in towards you with the strap, be careful not to lock the knee, but almost think of pressing this right thigh away from you. You can take your right hand to the strap and loop it around. And then as you pull that leg in, again, root the shoulder down. And you're actively pulling and pressing. So the arm is pulling in and the leg is pressing out. Again, micro bend in the knee. This left leg you can keep bent, especially if you have back issues. Or you can extend it straighter without straightening it all the way. Here, I'm pressing my hip down strongly. I'm pressing the heel down strongly. Or you can straighten it all the way, still pressing the hip down strongly and the heel down strongly. In fact, I'm going to bring my left hand to the hip to remind me to press it down. Breathing here. And then pressing the foot out into the strap. Slowly lower that leg all the way down. And second side, so left foot can slide into the strap. You can start with the right knee bent. Left leg stays fairly straight as you pull it in towards you. Take the left hand, lasso it around the strap, and then rooting the shoulder down. You might even bend the elbow. Leg and hand press into each other on the left side. And then the right leg, you might straighten a bit more, pressing the right hip and the right heel down strongly, or you might even straighten the leg all the way. Breathing wherever works for you. Nice full deep breaths. Inhale, expanding, broadening through the chest, and exhale, feeling the shoulders pressing into the earth. The left leg out into the strap, lower that leg down, put the strap over to the side for now, and then when you feel ready, you can hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball. Now, as you come into a ball, if after a while it feels good for you, you can engage your core, lift head and shoulders up, and even let the shoulders come off the back some as you hug in, again, only if that works for you. And then feel free to keep rocking from side to side, or if rolling front to back is comfortable for you, you can do that. Stopping at your shoulders before your neck. And then making your way all the way up to sitting. You can straighten the legs out in front of you, knees and toes pointing up to the sky, pressing down through the legs. Hands back behind you, fingers facing forward or outside. And then pressing down to the hands, lift up to the low back, lift up to the chest, open the throat a bit. Breathing here. And keep the feeling of lifting the low back out of the hips. Walk your fingers forward. So if your back were to start to round, if your hips were to tuck under, you'd bend the knees so you can sit up nice and tall. If you need more extension through the arms, you can come up to fingertips. And then exhale, soften everything here and make your way to all fours on the mat, coming to your hands and knees. Taking a moment here, lining the lines of the wrists so they go straight across. Fingers spreading apart, not stretching, overstretch, but spreading apart, and shifting the weight towards the front of the hands. And then from here, inhale and stretch the spine long. Exhale, rounding the back, looking at the navel. Inhale, arch the back, head and tailbone up to the sky. Just moving back and forth to the flow of the breath. Connecting this movement to the breath. Noticing how your back feels. Notice the shoulders moving on and off the back. Notice the hips tilting under and up. Notice the inner thighs moving forward and back. Then with your next inhale, go ahead and stretch the spine nice and long. And from here, we're going to walk the hands in front of the shoulders, a small amount. Shift the weight into the right hand. And inhale, lift the left wrist up. Exhale, lower it back down. Inhale, fingers stay down, wrist lifts up. Exhale, lower back down. I'm showing you two different ways. Inhale, left wrist lifts up. Exhale, lower it back down. Shift the weight into the left hand. Inhale, right wrist lifts. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, right wrist lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right wrist lifts. Lifting the wrist up with both hands so you can be on fingertips or you can be on ridge tops. But feeling the wrist lifting up. Feel the arms stretching up, the upper arm stretching for the wall in front of you. And then stretch the hips just back a small amount here. Breathing. This is not quite a full puppy pose, but it's moving in that direction. And then with your next exhale, we're going to lower down to the elbows underneath the shoulders. With your elbows underneath the shoulders, spine long. Be careful not to tilt the hips. So we're going to hold the hips nice and still. Press down through the elbows. Inhale, shoulders off the back. Exhale, shoulders on the back. Inhale, arm bones out of the shoulder socket, shoulders off the back. Exhale, arm bones into the shoulder socket, shoulders on the back. Inhale, puffing into the upper back, shoulders off the back. Exhale, making a valley between the shoulder blades, shoulders on the back. So now with the shoulders on the back, stretch the right arm out in front of you. Again, lifting the wrist up if that works for you. If that doesn't work for you, you're just going to pretend like you're going to lift the wrist up. And then level out the shoulders and stretch the hips up, back away from you. Taking your head and neck in line with the rest of the spine. Breathing here. Okay, lower the right elbow down. Extending the left arm straight, leveling out the shoulders, softening the upper back, arm bones and shoulder socket, gently hugging the shoulders in towards each other, and then stretching the hips up, back away from you here. Okay, go ahead and lower the left elbow down. Coming back to all fours, hands underneath the shoulders. Inhale again, arm bones out of the shoulder socket. Exhale, arm bones in the shoulder socket. Notice I didn't tilt my hips. I kept the hips still and just inhale, arm bones out of the shoulder socket. Exhale, arm bones into the shoulder socket. With the arm bones into the shoulder socket. However, if you make a really deep valley between the shoulder blades, you don't have to go to that extreme. You just want the shoulders to gently be able to hug towards each other on the back. Walk your hands out in front of you again. This time, if you would like, if it feels okay for your body, you can go a bit wider. And again, maybe lifting up the wrists, maybe not. Arms lift up, shoulders on back. Bottom tips of shoulders hug in gently, and then you can stretch those hips up, back away from you. Puppy pose time number 2. Maybe moving a little bit deeper into the pose, maybe not. Maybe that does not work for your body. If it feels inappropriate for you to do anything, leave it out. And then from here, you can walk your hands over to the left. You want to be careful not to bring the hands too close together. That brings the arms out of the shoulder socket. So keep some space between the hands. Keep your shoulders level. And then stretching that right hip back for the wall behind you, crescenting. Your toes can be pointed or flexed, whichever feels better. And then inhaling through center, trying to keep the shoulders level, space between the hands so you can keep on drawing those bottom tips of the shoulder blades in, arm bones into the shoulder socket, and then making a C shape with the spine, breathing here. Coming back to center. Walking your hands back underneath the shoulders. Inhale, stretch the spine long. Exhale, round the back. So instead of arching, we're just extending. Inhale, stretch the spine long. Exhale, round. Inhale, stretch the spine long. Keep the spine long, curl the toes under, and lift the hips up. So starting to lift the hips up with a long spine. Also start to press the hips away from you. Again, spine stays long. And as you do this, the legs might straighten as well. But if straightening the legs causes the back to round, then keep a bend in the knees so you can stretch long through the spine. Weight still is in the front of the hands, and you're still imagining as though you're going to lift the wrists up. Maybe actually doing so just to see what that feels like, but then lowering them back down and just doing that action. You can bend the right knee, stretch out to the left leg, bend the left knee, stretch out to the right leg. So moving the hips perhaps from side to side. And then coming back to center, both knees can be bent. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. When you can weight your feet fully, hands still in front of you, go ahead, shift the weight back into your heels with your knees bent, and just extend through the spine as you stretch the hips up, back, away from you. Your hands can even lift up here if that feels better for you, so you don't have to have them on the ground. You can bring blocks in and use blocks. And then if you would like to keep on walking the hands back and fold in, you can. You can bring your hands up to the legs, breathing wherever you're at. Legs nice and strong, knees bent. Let the back, if it feels good for your back, release over the legs. And then engaging through the core some here, feeling the low ribs pull in. Inhale, stretch the spine long, looking forward, lengthening, not necessarily looking forward. Exhale and fold. Inhale, extend long through the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extending out to the spine, hold. Make sure you're high enough to come into spinal extension. So if your back is rounding, lift up higher, extend to the spine. Try to bring your head and neck in a nice line here, breathing here, and then pressing down to the feet. Come all the way up to standing. From here, you can just step to the front of the mat, making sure strap is someplace you can grab it conveniently. And then take a moment, knees facing generally forward, second, third toes can face forward too if that works for your body. Wiggle your toes. And with your next inhale, lift all 10 toes up. Feel the arches lifting up with the toes. Balance out the weight between the front and the back of your feet and the inner and outer edges of the feet. Then keep pulling up those arches, spread the toes nice and wide apart, lower the toes down to the ground. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulder blades gently moving in towards each other on the back. Connect from the hips down into the earth, and then just balance your shoulders over your hips, your ears over your shoulders, and feel your head floating up above the shoulders. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, move from the shoulders, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Left hand can grab right wrist. Exhale to the left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Bend the knees and let your hips move back just a small amount. Let your arms just dangle and just feel the spine lengthening out of the hips. So a really baby Utkatasana is something you can think about here. And then you're going to keep the spine long. You're going to keep shooting the hips back. Your arms are just going to let dangle. You're going to try to keep that nice line of the spine, and you're going to stop whenever you feel like your back would start rounding. So again, stopping when you feel extension here, lengthening through the spine, and then here, go ahead, bend your knees a bit more, see what that feels like, and then straightening the legs. But again, if the back starts to round as you straighten the legs, then maybe not quite that far. Bending your knees, straightening the legs, bending your knees, and with your knees bent, go ahead, see if maybe you can go a bit further, or if you gently round your back here, see where your hands are in relationship to the ground. If your back has to round a lot to come to the ground, then definitely grab blocks or bring the hands to your own legs. And then here, shifting the weight forward and back in your feet, some. And what we're going to do here is I want you to think of your hips, especially the back of your hips, where your tailbone is. And this part of your hips, the back where your tailbone is, I want you to maybe think about tilting that up higher and seeing if the legs straighten some, and then lowering it back down. So I don't want you to think about straightening the legs. That just happens as you tilt the hips up. Inhale, tilting the hips up higher, and exhale and lowering them. Now, if this action is really easy for you and you can straighten the legs and keep your belly on the legs, I actually want you to back off of that a little bit. I want you to actually engage your core some, pull the ribs some away from the legs, but still tilting the back of the hips up and go ahead and lower down. So we tend to have tendencies, and sometimes you can go too far in one direction or the other, even if the basic idea is a good one. Just playing, going back and forth here. And then while you're down low, grab the strap, lengthen through the spine, float the fingers up, knees bent so you can lengthen the spine, and then come all the way back up to standing. And then holding on to the strap. Again, I like to double up, but you may decide you don't need to do that. Take the strap back behind you. Take a moment here, hips back over heels, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. And again, pull the strap tight here, standing up nice and tall. Now be careful, we're going to extend the arms back behind us. I want you to be careful that your shoulders, head, and necks don't start to move here. So you're only going as far as works for you. And it might be a bit easier if your hands are wider apart, but you are pulling the strap tight. And then from here, standing up nice and tall, go ahead and extend those arms back behind you without moving shoulders, head, and neck, and exhale and bend. And preferably don't extend the arms quite all the way. So keep, again, what we call often a micro bend in the elbow. Keep your elbows pulling apart from each other as you breathe. And you might do small adjustments as you continue to do things to come into positions that feel a little better for your body. I think I'm twisted, so I'm going to try to adjust things, and you might see that in the video. You might see I have a small twist somewhere going on. Okay, go ahead and release. You can put the strap over to the side again. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, hands to the side, bend your knees. Start to move the hips back, lengthening through the spine, folding. And eventually coming with the hands maybe out in front of you, spine still extended. You might have to bend the knees more to do that. Or maybe hands to your own legs, spine extended. And then you can gently and evenly round the back and fold in with your knees soft, so to wherever works for you. Inhale, look forward and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Try to bend your knees enough to place the hands firmly into the ground. So you also might need to walk the feet further away from the hands. You might need to open the feet wider apart. You might need to bend the knees more. Then here, with the fingers spreading, shift the weight towards the front of the hands like you're going to lift the wrists up, and maybe even lift up to your tippy toes. Lift the hips up high, breathing here. And then with your hips nice and high, walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Keep the hips high. Press the hips away from you. And the hips are tilted slightly up towards the sky instead of tucking under. Breathing here. You can bend and straighten the legs. And then lowering down to all fours, coming to your hands and knees. From here, point the toes. Inhale, hips slide forward, shoulders back. Exhale, hips back towards heels. Only going in either direction as much as feels good for your body. Paying attention particularly when you come forward to low back and shoulders. And when you go back to knees, hips, and lows back. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Exhale, hips back. Then inhale, hips forward, shoulders on the back. Bend the elbows, lower all the way down. You might have to readjust yourself on the mat. Stretch the arms forward out in front of you. Stretch the legs back behind you. Press down through your hands. Press down through your hips. Press down through your feet. Exhale, low ribs draw in and up. Keep extending long through the spine. Bring the arms by the sides. Line head and neck and shoulders up. Inhale, float up through the shoulders. Maybe head and chest too. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, floating up. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, float up. You can hold here. You can float arms up. You can float legs up. Stretching everything long, Shalabhasana. If you want to grab a strap or interlace hands behind the back, that is also an option. Breathe, knees stay facing down. Exhale, lower all the way down. And then just as you're ready, make your way into a child's pose. Feet together, knees apart, hips towards heels, head towards ground. If this is painful for you, stay up higher, up on elbows. Hips can be a bit higher. Breathe. And then inhale, come up to all fours. Exhale, arm bones into the shoulder socket, shoulders gently hugging in. Inhale, as you stretch the spine long, stretch the right leg back behind you. And then exhale, hugging in, knee to nose, rounding the back. Inhale, as that right leg stretches, keep your hips level, knees facing down. Exhale, hugging in. Inhale, extending the leg long. Now maybe rock your hips some to side, just so you notice what that feels like. And then bring the hips back to level for this round. And then with the right hand, you're going to bounce out the weight between the inner and the outer edge of the right hand. And again, pretend like you're going to lift that wrist up. The left hand, you'll slide forward or float it up. Rib cage hugs in, stretch back to that right foot forward through the left hand. Breathe. And then go ahead and release and second side. So inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee into the nose. Inhale, stretch the spine long, but keep your core engaged. Exhale, hugging in. Inhale, opening up. Weight in the front of the left hand, bouncing out through the inner and outer edge. Your right hand moves forward. Right hand might float up. Head and neck in a nice line. From your core hugging in, stretch back to that left leg, forward through the right hand. Breathe. And then lower the right hand and the left leg down. Inhale, stretch your spine long. Curl your toes under with the spine long. Start to lift the hips up and then keep the spine long. Hips move away from you. Legs might stay bent or straightened. You can move around some here. Breathe. And then look forward at your hands. Bend both knees. Again, pretend like you're going to lift up your wrists. Shift the weight towards the hands. Lift your hips up high. And with your hips lifted up high, walk the feet forward towards the hands. If at any point you need to walk the hands back towards the feet, you can do that coming into the weight in your feet. And when the weight's in your feet, your knees can be bent or straight. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, long spine all the way up to standing. And you can just adjust where you are on your mat. So if you need to step forward or back or rearrange yourself on your mat, do that. Then once you're here, hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Remember when we're on the floor with a strap? Well, move the shoulders back like there's a floor behind you. Head presses back like there's a floor behind you. And then here, just inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, lower them back down. You're not necessarily forcing them all the way up overhead. You're just lifting them up as high as feels comfortable for your shoulders. And the other thing you're watching is as you lift up that you don't do what's called flaying out the rib cage. So you keep the rib cage hugging in, core engaged. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, lower. So we're going to keep doing this, but we're going to bend the knees as wide apart as the feet and move the hips back. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, back up. Inhale, Utkatasana. Shift your weight into your right foot. You're going to counterbalance. You're going to stretch your spine forward. You're going to lift the left leg up. And then with control, you're going to move that left foot far back away from you. And control is relative. Hands come to your hips. Press your hips back and slowly extend the right leg straighter, but seeing if you can keep the spine long and your hips facing down instead of opening to the side. So if it's really hard to turn your hips to face down, sometimes opening the feet wider apart makes that easier. Then inhale, rising up here. And if rising all the way to vertical bothers your hips or low back, then lean forward some. Right knee points towards second or third toe. Exhale, bending, and inhale and straightening. And just like when we're lifting the arm up, you're trying to keep the ribs hugging in. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Holding the bent knee position. Bring the arms out in front of you. Shoulders on the back. And again, rib stays hugging in and just lifting those arms up to where works for you today. Breathe. And then go ahead and release. Take your right thumb into your hip, press the hip back, stretch the spine long, left arm can extend. And then with a long spine, left hand can come to block or floor, or to right knee if that works for you too. That's another option. Spine nice and long here. Turn your chest to the right, and then just stretch the right arm out of the right shoulder socket. And here, maybe turn your fingers to the left some. The palm can be down or it can be on fingertips. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other and play with shifting some of the weight into that left hand. This pose can be a nice prep for side planks. And then turning back down, right hand to right knee. Get light through those left fingers, bring them up. Press down to your right foot and use that to pull the left foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Connect into the earth. Exhale, release. Inhale, bend the knees, Utkatasana. Shift the weight into the left foot. Counterbalancing, stretching the spine forward as you step the right foot back. Back heel can be up or down. Hands to your hips. Hips turning to face down. If you need to open your feet wider apart, do so. And then go ahead and play with straightening that left leg with the spine long. A bit of a hamstring stretch here. And then coming up right through the torso. And then press the hips down. Low ribs draw in and up. Exhale, left knee tracks towards second or third toe. Bend. Your back heel can also be up if you'd like it to. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Keep those low ribs hugging in and up. Hands forward out in front of you. Shoulder blades on the back. Arm bones into shoulder socket. And then only lifting the arms up as much as works for you. Breathing here. And then from here, go ahead, left thumb into the hip crease, press the hip back, stretch the spine long. Right hand might come all the way to the ground or the block or the leg, and then turning to the side, left arm lifts up. If your hand's on block or ground, shoulder blades gently move towards each other on the back and shift the weight into the right hand. Breathing here. And then lower the left hand down. Float up to the right hand presses down. Press down to that left foot. Right foot comes forward. Hands together in front of the heart. Shoulder blades on the back. Connect from the hips into the earth. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms can come wide and reach up high. Exhale with a long spine. Bend the knees, fold forward, hands to legs or floor. Inhale, look forward and lengthen. Exhale, fold in, move your feet so you can get the hands on the ground. Press down to the hands, weight in the front, hips up high. Walk your feet back, downward facing dog. Nice long spine here. And then from here, inhale, we're gonna bring the shoulders forward over the wrists, come into a plank. And then exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. You might have to adjust your feet for that first plank. But after you do so, try to keep the width of the hands and the feet the same for plank and downward facing dog if that works for your body. The whole time you're pretending as though you're going to lift the wrists up and your core, your rib cage is staying really engaged. Then coming forward into a plank, holding the plank, and you can always lower the knees down to the ground. And then from here with the knees, actually you want to lower them down for this one. With the knees on the ground, point the toes. Inhale, hips slide forward, shoulders move back. Exhale, lift your hips back up. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Exhale, lift your hips back up. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Exhale, lift the hips up. Keep the hips high. And now inhale, shoulders off the back. Exhale, shoulders on the back. Inhale, shoulders off the back. Again, keeping your hips not tilting too. Exhale, shoulders on the back. Inhale, shoulders off the back. Exhale, shoulders on the back. With your shoulders on the back, with your hips high, if that works for you, you can bend the elbows and lower down to the ground. You might have to adjust here. Once you're here, press down through your hips, press down through your feet, lengthen through the spine, float the hands up, and move the shoulders onto the back. And then inhale, curling up through the chest. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, curl up. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, curl up, stretch back through the legs so much your feet might lift up for a moment, knees facing down, but then lower the feet back down, keep pressing through the hips and the legs, lower the hands down, act like you're going to drag the hands back for the wall behind you, getting some more extension. Feel free to stay here low, or if you want to, press through the hands and slowly lift up and exhale, lower back down. The reason I want you to lift up slowly is I don't want you to just pop your arms straight. Sometimes weird things happen with our shoulders and our elbows if we just pop the arms straight. So you're just going to not necessarily straighten the arms, but just slowly come up and lower back down. And slowly lift up and back down. And you're only coming up as high as feels good for your low back. The other advantage of moving slowly is that you can notice if twinges or anything else happens in your back. And sometimes you can figure out micro adjustments to make it better. And sometimes you just stop there, you back off there, and you don't really try to do anything else. You just go to where your body tells you to go. You use this time to check in with yourself. And then coming back into a child's pose. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breaths. Inhale up to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips high, walk feet forward towards hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. So open your legs wide apart. I'm going to turn away from you so you can look at my shoulders. And line your feet up so the feet are facing forward. Okay, once you're here, just take a moment, stack hips back over heels, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And then from here, we're going to bring the arms wide to the side, but your palms are going to face in the same direction as your chest. And you're going to move the palms a bit forward in front of the shoulders. And then from here, I want you to exhale, hug the shoulders in towards each other, and inhale and release. Exhale, hug the shoulders in. Inhale, release. Exhale, hug the shoulders in. Inhale, release. Okay, lower the arms down. Lift just the right arm up, and now the palm can be face down if you want it to. Hug the right shoulder in, release. Then think about hugging the top of the right shoulder in and release. And then think about hugging the bottom tip of the right shoulder in and release. And you might notice I let my hand flip as I do this. So when it's top shoulder, I turn the palm back more. When it's bottom shoulder blade tip, I turn it up more. And you can play with that to see what works for you. Okay, second side. Hug the left shoulder in, release. Bottom tip of left in, release. Top of left shoulder in, release. Middle of left shoulder in, release. You can play with doing different things in different places. So I can do bottom tip of the left shoulder, top of the right, or bottom tip of the right and top of the left. But the point here is your shoulders have all these range of motions and mobilities. Once you figure all this out, I just want you to gently hug the shoulders in toward each other, more the bottom tips, but not super aggressively like you might have just been doing. Okay, breathing here. And then bring your hands back to your hips. Left toes might turn in some more. Right toes all the way out. Spin your right knee towards the second or third toe. And then from here, exhale and bend that knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Holding warrior two. Floating the hands up. And again, gently hugging the shoulder blades in, looking over the right shoulder. Breathing here. And then straightening the right leg, but not locking the knee. Keep your shoulders pretty much in spot. Just do a lean to the hips. And then from here, line the arms back up, line the shoulders back up. See where this ends up. And then you can just rest the right arm someplace comfortable on the right leg. Left arm just stays where it is. Head and neck, lining them up, and you can play with where that feels good for you. Breathe. And then coming all the way back up. Second side. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out, left knee tracks towards second or third toe. And then exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Floating the arms up. Gently moving the shoulders in toward each other. And also maybe look back at the right hand for a moment. Sometimes it dips or drops. Just make sure that that has as much energy as the left arm if that works for your body. Breathing here. Okay, straightening the left leg. Again, being careful and aware of the knee joint. Leaning. And then after you lean, rearrange your arms. So the arms are just extending back out of the shoulder. You're holding yourself with your core strength. Then the left arm can come to the left leg. Right arm stays extending out of the shoulder joint. Breathing here. And then press down to the feet, come back up, turn all 10 toes in to face in the same direction, parallel. Press down to the hips, bend the knees, let the hips shoot back, spine long, folding forward here. Stop when the spine is parallel. And with the spine parallel, move the elbows and shoulders in toward each other on the back. Feel free to stay here, or again, feel your hips, especially your tailbone, lifting up. Your legs might straighten a little bit as that happens, and the head might come closer to the ground. So you're trying not to let the low back pull you up in the forward fold. You're trying to make sure your hips can move. Breathing here. If you wanted to from here, you can interlace the hands behind the back, pull the elbows gently away, and start to stretch the arms off. And then pressing down the feet, nice long spine all the way up. Knee soft, heel toe, feet in, stepping to the front of the mat as you're ready. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold, hands to legs or floor. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold and press the hands down, hips high. Walk your way back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into a plank pose. Knees on or off the ground. Hips level with the shoulder, arm bones in shoulder socket. If it works for you, you can bend the elbows and lower to the ground from here. Pointing the toes, press down to the hips, stretch the spine long. Inhale, lifting up, shoulders still moving back. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, you can lift up. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower back down. Making your way back into a child's pose. Breathing here, nice full deep breath. And then coming up to all fours, stretch the right leg back behind you and rocking the hips again. But this time what we're going to do is we're going to stack the right hip on top of the left, turn the right toes to the side. Okay, shift your weight into the left hand, but towards the front of the hand like you're going to lift the wrists up. And then here, with the shoulders on the back, also feel like the arm's spinning a bit to the left. Lift the right arm out of the shoulder socket. So again, shoulders gently hug in towards each other. I'm doing a bit of flossing in the bottom shoulder so you can see that the shoulder can move away or in, and it's gently moving in, not all the way. And then exhale, go ahead and lower the right hand down. Stretch the left leg back, rock your hips. And that feels good for them. For some people, moving your hips this much will not feel good for you. You can skip. And then you can stack the left hip on top of the right. Right hand, weight in the front. Right shoulder on the back. Right arm spinning some. Left arm can float up. Breathing here. Exhale, go ahead and release. First side again. Straighten the right leg back, turn the right toes to the right. Feel free to stay here with round number one. Or if you want to from here, you would also straighten the left leg. There, stagger. Shoulders on back, lift the right arm up. And again, this bottom shoulder, it can be in different places. And you do want it gently moving on the back, both of them, as you're here. Hips, though, you press the hips away, the hips lift up high. And then exhale, go ahead and release. And second side, so left leg straightens, maybe right leg too, maybe left hand floats up, breathing here. Okay. Exhale, go ahead and release and come back into a child's pose. Breathe. So a bit of pulling can feel nice to counterbalance the pushing. So when we're in side plank, we're pushing our body away from us with the floor. Come onto your belly, gently rock your hips from side to side. And then prop yourself up on your elbows, pressing down to the forearms, acting like you're dragging them back, pressing down to the hips, low ribs draw in and up. Keep the hips at first nice and firm. We're going to exhale and bend the left knee, but make sure the hip at first doesn't lift up. So the hip stays pressing down. That will keep the low back from overly contracted. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Although, again, if you do feel pain anywhere, skip things, leave it out. See if you can come up to it with adjustments. Go ahead and straighten. Exhale and bend. Then from here, what we're going to do is cross the right arm in front of us, press the left knee down, and now you actually might lift the hip up because that makes it easier to grab the foot. Now, if the foot is still hard to grab, remember that strap. You can make a little loop with the strap and grab the foot with the strap. Then slowly bring the hip back down if that doesn't bother your knee or shoulder, and you can just pull the foot in towards you here. Breathe. My arm was not in a place to hold me up well. Okay. Go ahead and release. And second side. So at first, pressing the hips down strongly, hugging the legs in towards each other. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Then press the right knee down. Left arm crosses over. Right hip does lift up. You can grab the foot with your hand, or you can make a loop and grab it with the strap. If neither works for you, don't worry about grabbing the foot. Just leave that part out. And then pulling the foot in towards you, slowly letting the hip come back down. Breathing here. And I'm actively pulling, not so much that there's any pain. So again, if there's pain, back off. But I'm pulling with that arm and kicking with my leg because we have done a lot of pushing. And then go ahead and release and make your way back into a child's pose. Breathe. We are going to do 2 more rounds of side plank. If you are done and want to just skip this, that's fine. If you want to do one of the 2 variations we did the first time, that's also fine. But if you want to try some more versions, we're going to approach these slightly differently if you're feeling up to it. So you'll come to all fours, arm bones into the shoulder socket, spine long. Stretch the right leg back behind you. Notice where your hips are. You're going to keep them there and just add the left leg. And then you're going to turn all 10 toes to the right. So your feet are staggered. And from here, you can come into the second side plank we did. Then from here, if you want to, you're going to step the right foot forward, add a hip stretch here. Breathe. And then go ahead and unravel yourself back to a plank. Let your feet turn to the left. Left hand can lift up, and then left foot you can step forward. Breathing here. Okay, exhale, release, and child's pose. Breathe. And sometimes in child's pose, if I want to let my shoulders come off the back, I'll bring my hands by my feet and let the shoulders come off the back. Again, this just depends on what works for your shoulders. If I'm doing a lot of engaging through class, I need to do counter stretching some. I wouldn't live here, but for the small moments for me, this works really well for my body. Okay. So last side plank. I'm going to set myself up just in a different space in the mat for this one. But same actions, actually. I won't because that will get confusing. So here, maybe start with left leg straight and then right leg. Turn all 10 toes to the side. And again, like the second side plank. And then you press down strongly through the left foot. You step the right foot back behind you. I like to take the right hand to my heart, lift my chest up into the hand, and just curl the chest and the hips to the sky. So I'm here, not forcing anything. And then exhale, go ahead and release. And second side, so turning my toes to the left. Left hand can lift up, left foot back behind, knee bent, hand to chest, lift up to the hips, lift up to the chest, breathing here. And then go ahead and unwind and come into a child's pose. Nice, full, deep breaths. Coming up to sitting with the feet forward out in front. Again, if you have a strap, have it nearby. Knees and toes up to the sky, hands back behind you, lifting up through the chest, lifting up through the low back, opening through the throat, breathing here. Keep the low back lifting up, walking the hands forward, and then grabbing the strap, bend your knees some, lasso the balls of the feet with the strap. And then here, pulling back on the strap and making sure you can sit up nice and tall. So the knees are bent enough that you can sit up nice and tall. If you can sit up nice and tall with the legs straight, you can do that. You also want to make sure your hips move. So as you fold forward, it's just not your back pulling, your hips are moving. And then from here, you'll make your way into a forward fold. You can lasso your hands further around the strap, breathing. And again, an actual gentle pull. Not so much here. You definitely don't want to overstress out the low back. And you're not pulling yourself down. You're pulling your back out of the hips. So you're trying to find a bit of extension, a bit of length. Okay. Inhale, back up. Go ahead, take the hands back behind you again. Again, lifting up through the low back, the chest, the throat. If you want to this time, bend your knees, feet on the ground, press down to the feet. And if it doesn't bother your shoulders, you can lift the hips up. And then exhale, lower back down and make your way onto your back, however is comfortable. Hug the knees into the chest, gently rocking from side to side. And then letting go of the knees and drawing circles on the ceiling with the knees in one direction. And then draw circles on the ceiling with the knees in the other direction. Okay. Lower the feet to the ground. Lasso the ball of the right foot with a strap. And much like the beginning of the class, right thigh feels like it's pressing away. Draw the right leg in towards you, but keeping the leg fairly straight. So if the knee's bent a lot, back off, come into a straighter leg, and then only draw the leg in as far as works for you, keeping the leg fairly straight. It doesn't have to be perfect. The left leg, again, can be bent, both hips pressing down, or it can be straighter but still bent, hip and heel pressing strongly down, or all the way straight. And then here, pulling that right leg in towards you, shoulders down, back of the head down, finding some resistance, pressing the leg back into the strap. Keep your left hip and left shoulder heavy as you open the right leg to the right. You can turn your gaze gently to the left. And then inhale up to center. Take the strap into your left hand. Right hand arm can come to the right. Press the right shoulder back of the head down. At first, maybe keep your right hip on the ground and just cross the right leg over if that doesn't hurt your hip. And then if you want to come into the twist, you can lift the hip up, breathing here. Again, only as much as feels good for your low back and your hip. And then coming back up to center. You might have to balance out the hip, pulling the leg in towards center. And then pressing out through that foot, lower that leg down. You can slide the left foot into the strap, right foot out, right knee bent, semi-bent, or all the way straight. Heel and hip presses down on the right side as you pull the left leg in, keeping the left leg fairly straight. Right hand can come to the right hip. Breathing here, shoulders pressing down, chin in neutral, back of the head presses down. Then keep your right hip heavy. Open the left leg to the left, right shoulder heavy. Maybe gaze turns to the right, maybe not. Coming back up to center. Right hand grabs the strap, left arm opens, left shoulder and head presses down. You can take the left leg across with the left hip staying on the ground. Or if you want to, you can lift the hip up and move into the twist. Sometimes walls stop you, but they can be nice to press out into. Okay, coming back to center again. You might need to center the hips. Pulling that left leg in towards center, pressing back out with your foot. And then go ahead and release. You can put the strap over to the side. Hug the knees when you feel ready into the chest. And actually, you might want to take a middle ground break. So I like to do extended spine a lot and press the thighs away from me and just get some length. And then from here, you might want to hug the knees into the chest. Feel free to stand a ball or open the knees wider apart, lengthening the spine, pulling the knees down as you press the legs back up into the hands. And then if you want to, you can flip the feet up to the sky, holding on to the legs or your feet as you rock from side to side. Happy babies. Coming back to center here, full body stretch, arms above the head, legs along the ground, lengthen your tailbone. And then a few minutes of Shavasana, arms by the sides, palms face up, legs opening apart. Someplace you can relax completely. If a leg straight doesn't feel great for you, bend your knees. If this doesn't feel good for you, any position that you feel supported and held and that you can relax into. And then into this spot, just feel the support of the earth underneath you. And with every exhale, let yourself melt into that support. Let your bones melt, let your muscles melt, let your skin melt. Just let yourself release into that support. And feel this connection to the breath. Feel this relationship with the world around you. Taking exactly what you need. Offering back out what's no longer useful for you. Just being in connection without being clingy. But also not denying yourself what's necessary for your life. Breathe. And then notice that this goes on whether you're doing the conscious effort, the work, or not. That regardless of what you do, you're in this relationship. So let go of the conscious control of the breath. And just let the universe take care of it for you. And let yourself be soft. And let yourself release. And give yourself time to rest. So stay here as long as you want. But when you are ready to move, do so slowly. Just come back into consciousness, awareness of the breath first. And feel that moving you. And then you can do small movements, wiggling fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. But for now, stay where you're at. And then you would come into slower stretches, bigger ones. Eventually, knees would come in, and you would rock. And just with as little effort as possible, come back into sitting. But again, for now, you don't have to do any of this. For now, you can stay where you are. And I am just going to wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me.